What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Lineman Football, and today's video is going to be a comparison for you guys. So now with the start of the season, people are starting out lazy and they're not as well conditioned and used to the hitting. So you're starting to see the start of the season, people are getting some of those neck injuries and they're sore and they're kind of looking for options as far as neck restriction to help protect themselves. So the three things I'm going to be comparing today are the neck roll, cowboy collar, and the butterfly collar, whale tail, whatever you really want to call them. Okay, so the first thing, obviously the biggest deal with these things is the amount of restriction that they give you. So to start off, on the least amount of restriction is going to be the neck roll here. It's the lowest profile, obviously because it is more of a foam material as opposed to the other two, which are more of like the plastics and some of the other coated stuff. It has a little more give to it, so it kind of cushions your neck. Okay, so that is the least restrictive. Then the cowboy collar, is a little bit harder material, so you have a little more restriction. And then with the whale tail being so high in the air, you have the least amount of restriction possible. Now, good thing to note with the difference between the restriction on the cowboy and the neck roll versus the whale tail is because the first two are actually a bowl shape, you actually have a little bit more restriction from the side to side as well. So it prevents any hits from the side, from laterally, as far as front and back, where, the whale tail is just more like head-to-head type deal. So now these levels of restriction mean a couple different things here. The first one it really affects, obviously, is the amount of movement in your neck. Now, that can be a good and bad thing for a couple of reasons. So obviously it can be a good thing because it prevents any whiplash, your head snapping back in the ground. But another bad thing about it, especially with the whale tail, is because you have so little restriction in your neck, you're using your head more to hit and you feel safer just hitting straight on with your head. So you actually kind of get a false sense of security and you're more prone to concussions kind of that way. So it's kind of that tricky balance. The other thing as far as restriction, which not a lot of people think about before they get them, is their line of sight. So, especially being on the line, if you're rocking a whale tail and you're in your stance, you're looking like this and you're trying to look up because you can't get your neck back here, where you can be down in your stance and still have that neck back so you can see everything that's happening, right? So I usually don't recommend the whale tail for the line because you lose so much of your line of sight. Cowboy collars is obviously a little better, and the neck rolls give you the most amount of possible movement, line of sight, all that kind of thing. So I kind of recommend the neck rolls a little more. Now, the next thing as far as putting these on goes is the installation of them. So they install a couple different ways. With the neck rolls, they're pretty simple. Basically, they usually just snap onto your pads. But the one thing with that is you do have to make sure you get the right one. So if you're going into a store to buy one or you're looking online, look at where the snaps are on the neck roll and compare it to your pads and make sure it's going to fit your pads. Also, some pads are very specific, like the tag pads are all Velcro system. So you can't just buy a Douglas or a Shot one online, put it on your tag pads and go. You're going to have to do some customization to it. So you'll have to look out for that. But again, the installation is really simple. You can just snap it on, snap it off, whatever you want to do in and out of the game. The cowboy collar is a little different, although it kind of just depends. So as you can see, the cowboy collar slips on over top, then you put your pads over top. Now there's absolutely no installation, so it's going to work on any pads, but also at the same time, if you want to take it off in game, you have to take off your jersey and your shoulder pads first, then take it off. So you kind of get that balance between the two. And the whale tails are the most complicated to put on. So because they're made by Douglas, and if you're not using Douglas shoulder pads, if you're using Shut shoulder pads or that kind of thing, you kind of have to be again, you have to look at where the holes are on your pads to try and attach it. I've even known some people, you might have to drill into your pads to make it fit on them to get the right placement. Because again, one other thing about the whale tails adjust more up and down, so you can put them lower on your pads so you have more room, or you can put them really high up so they're hitting, top here and you have really little room. So you kind of have that customization. So you can drill into your pads to get it exactly where you want it for your level of restriction, but that could also void the warranty on your shoulder pads. And especially if you don't own the shoulder pads that are the teams, you might want to be careful of doing that first. Ask your coaches about it. And the second last one as far as comparison goes is how it looks with your jersey. So with the neck rolls, they can fit, a jersey can still go over top. Cowboy collar, your jersey can't really go over top. You can try, it looks kind of hilarious and it makes a jersey tighter around your neck. Same thing with the whale tail, because it can't go over top of it, it has to go behind it. It can pull back on your jersey around your neck a lot. So you might have to pre-stretch your jersey, or you might just have to be used to getting a little bit of tension right on your Adam's apple there. So a couple different things to really consider. Now it is also good to mention though, with the, although you can't put the jersey over top of your whale tail or butterfly collar. The one nice thing about it though is they actually do have different colored pads, so you can match your team's colors to the pad you put around it, so it actually can look like it is still technically kind of part of your jersey and team color. So you kind of have that one extra option that you don't really have as much with the neck rolls. Most neck rolls are either white or black. Same thing with the cowboy collar, is usually just black, so you don't have as much of that customization as well. And the last thing is actually the price of them. So obviously the price doesn't really matter if your team already has them, but if you're going out yourself for your own safety and you're buying them, you do have a couple different price points. So with the neck rolls, they actually vary a ton in price. So you can start with like a shut one on Sports Unlimited, it's gonna be like $30. You can also work up to different levels of like the Douglas, where they get different thicknesses. And those can go to $130, $140. So you kind of get like a massive gap. With the cowboy collars, the only one is really McDavid. Those range depending on the sale from around $60 to $80, somewhere in there. And then the cowboy collars, they're all pretty universal around the price point of basically around $70, because Douglas does make all of them. Some of them do say Mueller, but then it says Mueller by Douglas, and some of them just say Douglas. Okay, so this gives you guys a lot to think about. I already know I'm gonna get the comment, well, which is my favorite anyway, so let's just answer it here. As far as from an O-line perspective, the one I would go with is a neck roll. The reason being is it gives you the most amount of line of sight. It still gives you protection laterally if you're kind of getting hit from the side, you never know. And of course, they're super easy to take on and off in game. If you do get an injury, they're super easy to put on, as far as and they're a lot more comfortable right out of the gate. Cowboy collars, butterfly collars, you do have to get used to them. So for me, I would definitely go with the neck roll. So there you guys go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I hope this keeps you guys a little safer. Don't forget to weigh out the options. I will link to Sports Unlimited down below. That is where I'm actually pulling most of these images and stuff from. So again, I'll link to that down below. If you guys like this video and you want to see more comparisons, hit that like button. First off, it lets me know what you guys like to see. And also it helps fund the whole setup here. So please do that. And if you're new here, I put out 2 videos every week, so don't forget to subscribe. All right, thanks guys.